What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be soloing DM East with our Fire Mage, which is going to have the same exact spec as we take into raiding. Now, there's a couple extra things that I want to point out real quick about this video, because obviously a lot of people know about the DM East farm. So what's special about the farm? Well, obviously there's the first thing that it's the same spec as your raiding spec, so there's no reset costs. But I'm also going to be showing you a little trick where you don't even need to have mining and herb on your main mage to go ahead and make the money from this run. So there's other ways you can make money, a lot of money from this run, and it can use your own alts. You don't even need to worry about other people. So we're going to be showing that as well. If you guys are enjoying this content, definitely check out the Twitch, a link down below. Feel free to come in and ask me any questions you guys have. Always happy to answer whatever you guys are curious about, or if you need any help with the farms, definitely come and ask. And also join the Discord, because we have a huge community who is out there and ready to help you guys with any questions and help you might need. Let's jump into it. All right, so we're gonna get started right away here. I just did a fresh session, and so we're gonna get started. So the first thing you have to watch out for is this mob on the left over here. You could potentially aggro him running by him. So just watch him. He'll always be right there when you start the instance. But after that, you just jump down here. You can go ahead and kill these packs if you want to. The whip blasters, they die very easily. You can just flame strike, cone of cold, and blast wave, and you know, they're dead, they're taken care of. I personally don't, just because I don't have herbalism on this tune. But if you do have herbalism, then it's 100% worth it, and you basically just kill them around the herb packs, and that gets you some extra money. But for me, I don't have herbalism on this tune, so I'm just trying to go through here as quick as possible. There will be pods, and I've talked about them through many other videos, so I'm not going to go into too lengthy of detail, but just watch out for the pods. It could contain some extra lashers if you're not ready for them, or a poison cloud like you just saw. But ultimately, the goal is to get to the second boss. So the way that this works is that there's big money at the end, and there's money at the second boss. And so we want to get straight to the second boss, because in order to get to the last boss, you actually need to unlock him from the second boss. So the second boss basically is tied to this big treant guy out here, and he is basically holding the treant captive. So you can kind of, all right, so he's just out of range, but there's a big treant right there that you basically have to free from captivity by killing the second boss. The second boss himself isn't too bad, but on the way there are shadow stalkers. So one we obviously just killed right there. There could be two that pat through here. So they come through here and they're in this area. They could also be over along this wall. So just watch out for them. Definitely kill them if you see them. Not too bad. Here's another one. And so there's the two. And there's also potentially the ghost mushrooms right there. So that's just an added little benefit right there. If you get the ghost mushrooms, just some extra money if you are herbalism. But they're real easy to kill. One thing though is that they do have a slow that they can put on you, which the poison slow could be kind of annoying, just because you obviously then would be slowed and they could just do a lot of damage to you. So I would probably err on the side of caution and keep a blink in case you do get that, or just if you need to use any kind of Frost Nova or Cone of Cold or something like that. Once you take care of these two though, there shouldn't be any others in your way, so you should be good to go up until you get right around the boss's room. So right here in the middle, there is Hydra Spawn. This is the first boss of DM East. Going through this side, we choose not to kill Hydra Spawn. However, if you wanted to kill Hydra Spawn, you 100% could, and it would be perfectly fine. Also, to get mana back quicker, instead of drinking, you can use Evocate, because you won't need it for any of the boss kills. So it's just a quick, easy way to get back mana really quickly. Hydra Spawn does have a couple drops that, you know, he could drop that some people may want. Or he does have, you know, Essence of Water, which could drop. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the drop rate of those isn't really that good. So personally, I don't find it worth it. Instead, what I do is I just skip him. So he does this little kind of Y pass. So he'll go down here, come out here, go back around to that side, and then go back. So it's basically like making a Y. You can get decently close to him. He's level 57, so he's green to you. So he does have somewhat of an aggro range, but just don't get too close and you should be perfectly fine skipping him. One easy trick is just to jump over the candles right there, hug the right wall, and then we're working our way to the second boss. On the way to the second boss, you're going to find some more of those shadow stalkers, and so there's typically always going to be one. Now, you could get exceptionally lucky and hit a perfect pathing where the shadow stalker is stuck in the boss's room. Odds of that, though, are very low, so I'd recommend erring on the side of caution with it and just taking him out. There is that slow. Fortunately, the mob is pretty low, so I was just able to burn him down. But this is the slow I'm talking about. So look how slow we're moving. It is a 66% movement speed slow, so it's kind of a pain in the ass if you get slowed by it. what I recommend doing is if you do get slowed after killing the mob, just go ahead and sit down, eat and drink, and then you'll be good to go from there. There could be one more in this pathway, but typically if you find the Shadow Stalker anywhere in this walkway, that's probably going to be the only one that you're going to see. But now we're ready to go to the second boss. And so the second boss has an interesting mechanic, which is a sacrifice ability. So sacrifice is a shadow spell, so it can be resisted, and it can also be reflected with the, I can't remember what it's called, Ultra Shadow Reflector or something, whatever the engineering thing is. So you could reflect it that way. Alternatively though, the easier way is just to avoid it, which we're about to show right now. So to get started with this fight, I'm going to pop my Xandalarian Hero Charm, I'm going to pop Combustion, and I'm going to go for the Pyro. I'm going for max damage right away, and then I'm going to start spamming Scorch immediately following that to try to just get off as many crits as I can. Didn't get off I got off of 1 crit. Got off 2. All right. But then the trick is actually just running back and forth right here. So you can see that the boss is running away when I'm to the right, and he's running towards me when I'm to the left. So you basically just juggle him back and forth like this while pumping out damage. So I'll go for a Scorch and a Fire Blast, then I'll hide again. And then I'll go back out and I'll do another, and then I'll hide again. But there is the sacrifice. So you can see the sacrifice spell cast. It is fast. No matter what you're doing, when he casts sacrifice, stop. Stop and avoid it. Because sacrifice, if it goes off, you're done. You're dead, especially as this spec. If you were Frost, you would have Ice Blocks, so you can get out of them. So that's another option if you wanted to be Frost, but I'm Fire, and rating spec is going to be Fire, so that's going to be a big, proponent to be Fire. There is, however, a nice little trick, and so I want to show you guys that right now. There's a mechanic in the game that I talk about a lot called Leeway, and so Leeway is basically this idea where with spells, they can retrospectively apply a person's position. So for example, if I kept on running there, sacrifice would be able to hit me even if I was behind the pillar potentially. However, I stop right behind the pillar. So you'll see me, I run out, and you can rewind and check it. I run out, I stop, and then I go again. Stopping right there is going to reset kind of my position relative to him. There's the expensive drop, actually. So that's Satyr's bow right there. That can sell to people for like 30 to 40 gold. So that's more gold that you can make if you want to bring in people and sell the bow. But once you're done with him, you jump off the backside here, and we're just going straight back to that Treant guy. But with Leeway, you really got to watch out, because if you're continuously moving back and forth while doing like Fire Blast or things like that, you could get caught by the sacrifice even if you're behind the pillar. So dodge behind the pillar, stop right behind the pillar, and then keep on running, and you should be good to go every single time. Once you get down the second boss, as I said, jump off the back. You'll be by a Hydra spawn. If you do aggro Hydra spawn there, over here, if you run onto this pillar, this is a reset spot where you can reset Hydra spawn. Probably won't pull him 9 times out of 10. If you want to check his position before you jump down, that's just how you can be safe. Once you're done with the boss, though, you run over and you talk to Ironbark. Also, you should probably do the boss with Mage armor on, because that's going to give you some extra resistance in the event that you do get hit by the sacrifice. You could potentially resist it. And it also just gives you some extra mana regen so that you're not too worried about mana as you go through. Watch out for all the Treant packs as you walk by. They do pat back and forth in various different ways. It's more so something that you're going to get familiar with, but the ones to watch out for are these guys, because they will come right up to the door. And so you can, as long as you hug the door, you'll be fine. But if you're waiting anywhere out there in kind of like the open area, you could potentially pull them. And then the other guys by the big guy. Where this big guy was standing before we talked to him is actually a safe spot. So as long as you're level 60, you're standing there, no matter what pathing the Treants are doing or anything like that, you won't get found. And so that's a good spot just to kind of sit and recover and get ready to go on to then the final boss. Once you activate the Treant, though, he goes down, he breaks down the doors because he's mad because he was possessed or whatever, and you get to this final boss room. This entire perimeter right here, this U-shape kind of device, I don't know, not device, but U-shaped kind of structure, I guess, is a reset spot. So if you ever aggro any mobs, you can stand right here and you'll be good to go. But what you want to do is you want to come down to this spot right here along this wall, and this is the final boss of the instance. There's occasionally a red book right here, and there's also 2 other spawns, which I've talked about in my other videos. They aren't anywhere near as lucrative as they used to be, but they could give you some decent money. But to fight the boss, we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to open up with Combustion into a Pyro, and we're just going to try to zerg down the boss real quick. One slight difference though is as soon as you get off the Scorch and Fire Blast, you want to run around the pillar. This boss has 2 abilities, Wither and Enervate. Enervate drains your mana very quickly. Wither puts a dot on you that will tick like crazy. Both of those things can only be cast when he's in his human form. And so when he's in his human form, you want to stay away from him at maximum range. And so I'll show you how to do that in just a second. When he's in either his wolf form like this or his treant form, he is not a problem. And all you do is you just go back and forth on this pillar. But when he's in his human form, what you want to do is you want to get him to run back and forth, and then you want to hug this top corner. And then as soon as he gets close, you want to jump down and go behind this pillar. This way, you'll line of sight every single one of his abilities, and you'll be good to go. Alternatively, when he's not in human form, or when you're just trying to run around, you can use this rock right here. So this rock is kind of a pain to jump onto, but if you run from, oh boy, if you run from the back, so there's Wither. So you guys are going to see I'm going to take a good amount of damage, and he cast Enervate on me as well. Hopefully I don't die. You can run from the bottom of this rock up to the top, and then you can just jump right onto this ledge, and that's an easy way to get up there. All right, I think we're going to be good with 11% health. Once he's at 50%, he's going to open up this back area over here. Woo, we're safe. He's going to open up this back kind of cave. And so basically there's a bunch of imps. These imps will continuously spawn. I think it's like every minute, and they'll come in and attack you unless you kill them. But what you do is once he hits 50% and he opens this up, you run right behind here. He actually got Rake or Mangle off on me. I was about to die. That's wild. Okay. You come at 50%, you jump off the ledge wherever you're kiting him. You run back here, and you jump up onto this little corner post. You can get on here before the fight as well, but it's just easy to get on here after the fight because there's nothing in your way. It's easier to jump on here, but you can jump on here during the fight as well, and you'll be able to get up here. Once you're here, though, you're pretty much good to go. It is 11 minutes and 26 seconds in. We are going to bandage as soon as we can, just because we did take some extra damage with Wither. But the name of the game is when he's in human form, dodge him completely. Run to the back, wait till he comes up the top area, and then jump down. When he's in caster form, or treant form, or when he's in wolf form, you basically juggle him back and forth and do damage. Once you are comfortable and ready to go, I recommend putting on ice armor because you will take a little bit of damage from these guys. Go ahead and jump down here. Use your blast wave, kill them all, jump right back up onto the post because these guys have a massive aggro range. So an interesting thing about these guys, the second that they come out, as soon as they pass this kind of barrier between the cave and the main area, they will pull every single one of these packs. And so there's actually 3 packs of Death Lashers or Fell Lashers throughout here. And so as they get further in, we'll pull every single one of those packs. So as soon as you kill these guys, you got to jump back up onto this ledge. But then you're good to go. And so what you want to do here, you can see that it's 12 minutes and 30 seconds. So you can easily hit, 4 or 5 an hour very easily. You run through here, and here are rich thorium veins. So there's anywhere between 2 and 3 rich thorium veins throughout the run, which give you, of course, arcane crystals and blue sapphires and other things like that. But at the very end of this walkway is an instance. All you do is run through the instance, and then you're back into the main area, and I'll show you guys in a little bit that, but I want to focus on the strat with the boss just a little bit more before we leave this area. So definitely have mining. Another easy way to make money, as we said before, is the Satyr's Bow. Satyr's Bow has 1% chance to hit. It's a 19% drop rate, so it's a pretty good drop rate. You'll probably get 1 an hour on average, but it gives 1% chance to hit, which makes it very wanted by a lot of different people. Oh shoot, I am in trouble. I did not see that the boss was that close. I'm going to pop a Superior Healing Potion. Okay. I'm going to wait till Wither's gone, and then I'm going to bandage. Yikes. That was almost really bad, guys. Okay, so I'm going to run back here, and I'm going to bandage up and get healed. So we can juggle this guy back and forth forever with this rock. When he's in trinket form, you jump down. You can run up on this rock. This rock is considered platform, or is considered in line with the platform, and is considered the bottom area. So he still comes to us. But when he is not running towards us on the bottom, he goes all the way out past this pillar and past that tree and then loops back around. So you can see there's plenty of room for you to basically wait, jump down, and then by the time that he gets back to you, he's going to be in wolf form. So I just recommend going all the way back to here, waiting here until he passes that second pillar, maybe even a little bit more. Definitely when he starts casting, then jump down, hide behind this pillar. And then when he gets close, jump back up and jump back up onto the ledge. Now, as far as killing him, you can pre-cast a fireball before he goes around the outside, and you can see that it does a lot of damage and also will go off before then. In the event that he does transform just like that, you can jump right up here and get up to the top. It's a little bit harder for gnomes to do, so I'm going to die. But if you're not a gnome, it's pretty easy to make that jump. But as a gnome, obviously, you're a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit harder to make that jump. But you can juggle him like that back and forth for as long as you need to. And then when you finish the instance, and when you go through the portal, I'll show you guys that in just a second. Okay, so we're back in here, ran back and everything like that. Obviously, be a little bit careful with Alzin, especially if you are a gnome, can't make that jump so easily. But once we go into the cave, we're going to be able to run through the back of the instance, and we'll show you guys exactly how you get right back into the start to rinse and repeat. While we do that, though, let's talk a little bit about the gear needed. There's none. There's no consumables needed. However, in order to make money or in order to clear it faster, there are some things that you could have. So you could have the ZG pot for the speed pot, the Zandalari one. That will give you 20% increased movement speed. A lot of the downtime in this is really just running, like running to the second boss, running all the way back to the last boss. You can cut down the speed by 20% on the running solely from that pot. So that is something that would be great. As far as gear goes, it obviously is going to help to have more fire spell power. So I personally right now have 394 plus fire damage and 17% crit. So I have pretty good gear. That being said, you don't need any of that gear. Fight's just going to last a little bit longer, but the majority of the time, as I said before, is running. The fights really aren't that big of a time chunk in the actual instance itself. And so you can, not have great gear and still do this farm. Once you're out of the instance, you hug the left over here, run back around, reset the instance, and here is DM East, and you're ready to rock and roll and go right back into the dungeon. As far as talents and gear goes, talents are actually the same as the ratings. So that's the biggest benefit of this. You do not need to respec between doing these farms. One of the big issues that a lot of people have with the AoE farms for Frost Mages is that you need to respec pretty much every time, even if you're Frost for raids. But with this, you can actually use the same exact spec that you use for fire in raids as you do with damaging here. The only difference might be if you don't have Pyroblast and Blast Wave and you have 2 and 2 Arcane Meditation. So there's going to be 10% of your mana regen continuation while casting. That might be a little bit different. Outside of that, it's the same spec. Wouldn't really worry about this. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Go for Pyroblast and Blast Wave, or do this run without them. You don't need them. They help. Don't need them. This is going to be a really good farm for Fire Mages, though, to do in between raids so they can make a lot of money. There's 3 different ways to make that money. You have the Cedar Bow, which you can get from the second boss, which we got during this run, actually. You can sell that for about 30 gold. If you're an herbalist, you can run through here and you can get the herbs. Every single one of those Whiplasher packs gives a good amount of herbs, and so you can get, some herbs from there. And there's also just herbs on the ground, which you can get along the way as well. Ghost Mushrooms, Dream Foil, Grom's Blood, all those. They can give you some really good money. And then if you're a miner, you can also do mining. Now, a lot of people aren't going to have herbalism and mining on their mage. However, there is a special trick with which with the same account, you can actually get 2 of your own tunes inside the same instance. And so if you have 1 tune with mining and herbalism, and you have 1 tune that's, let's say, your mage, and that's the one clearing it, you can still get all those resources. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then if you really wanted to, you could try to kill the last boss. Probably wouldn't recommend it. The last boss will continue to spawn imps over and over. They're kind of a pain to kill. You can blast wave them down in the side and Cone of Cold them. But it's going to be a lot to juggle back and forth with the boss, especially if you get a bad Innervate or Wither, kind of like we did before. Jumping into my gear, I have pretty good gear. I have, almost full nether run. I'm missing the bindings. And then I have a lot of plus fire damage. So I have good gear. You do not need anywhere near this gear, but obviously better gear, more it'll help. Important things to do are to manage your burst. You always want to burst at the start of the kind of fight, just because that's really when you're going to get off the most of your casts. The majority of the fight, you're kind of bouncing back and forth, trying to line of sight and trying to make sure that you don't get hit by various abilities. So you want to pop Combustion, pop any kind of Toep or Xanalaran Hero Charm that you have, and then Pyro, and just try to get those Scorch stacks up so you can do more fire damage. Obviously, with the Scorch vulnerability, we have 15% additional fire damage if we get 5 Scorches off on the boss, and that really helps with fire damage. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to get a alt on your own account into the same exact instance as your main. So let's say you had mining an herb on your alt. You could then go in after the run is done and get those herbs and mines. So what you do is you head into the instance on your main and you make sure that your main and your alt are in the same group. So the way that you do that is you get somebody to invite your main and somebody to invite your alt. So now we have our alt Casimir in the same exact group. We're going to log out, log into Casimir, and see if we're in the same instance. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over and we are going to mark this squirrel with an X. And we'll mark this big guy with a skull. Basically, that's going to show us if we're in the same instance. Because if they have a mark on the top of their head, then we know that they are the same mob as the other instance. So we are now logged into our alt right outside the instance. So we're going to hop in the instance here. Let it load real quick. And then when we come over here, we can see a skull on the mob. So what this allows is, let's say you have your mage for raiding. So he has engineering and he has maybe tailoring because you have bloodvine, right? This allows you to clear it on your mage and then hop onto your alt, come back in and get all the resources. So this could be useful for a lot of other things as well. So this is going to be a nice little trick for you guys to leverage to make extra money when you're going through these farms. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.